Joe Musso, Bryant McFadden, Jonathan Jones, and guys, it feels like these are the ways that Bears games have gone all season. They have found ways to be on the right side of this one. Not the case in this one. I don't know where our entry point is, but maybe we want to go to that opportunity late in the season. You know, I stand for Caleb Williams more than anybody that sits at this desk and more than most anywhere. What did you see on that last passing play, the last attempt of the season for Williams that ultimately gives Matthew Stafford the ball back and a chance to win?
Before we get there, can we give some praise to Caleb Williams?
No doubt.
I mean,
I was going to go there. I just didn't want to go. I don't want to get like the full Homer tag put on my back here.
I can tell you this much: watching the majority of the playoff games, if you didn't have a dog in the race and you just enjoy watching high-level football, you got to eat some garlic or take your blood pressure pills because the emotional roller coaster that we all enjoyed together has been phenomenal, and it has lived up to the billing. And you talk about Caleb, I know they lost this ball game. I know it's a difficult emotional loss for any Chicago Bears that have watched them the entire season. But you got a quarterback.
Yeah. You
got a quarterback who is unbelievable. He has a dauntless mentality. He attacks every situation like they're makeable. He's like the Steph Curry at the quarterback position. You know, with Steph Curry, there's no bad shot because of the long range and the accuracy. There's no bad passing attempt for Caleb because he can make any throw.
Said it after the Cleveland game.
That you can imagine, right? So for him to be able to be battle-tested in this game and that fourth down play was unbelievable that led to the overtime victory.
We always play the game, Mac. I'm sorry. Yeah. We always play the game of how many guys in the world can make that throw. Those are we've seen special throw after special throw.
I'll say this right now. He's one of one. Yeah. When you watch the entire body of work from unbelievable passes, he's one of one. But when you get into overtime, sometimes you got to take your foot off the gas a little bit and utilize and drive the speed limit because he was clearly trying to force something that wasn't necessarily there. You're not in a do-or-die moment where that was fourth down. You still had third down to try to get something going. And you had Kyle right there at check down. Manungai. And even if the ball gets deflected at the line of scrimmage, you still got third down. So I think this is a learning experience for Caleb because your arm is so magnificent. You just got to understand when to showcase that marvelous arm that he has because we saw how the ebbs and the flows were really involved in this ball game. And even though Matthew Stafford wasn't at his best, we knew at any given time he can wake up. Devontae could wake up, and they did because of that turnover.
I would say watching Caleb Williams this season, this second half of the year, certainly these playoffs, it felt like the first time you really watched Patrick Mahomes, right? It gave me that sense, that vibe, like, oh, my gosh, he's doing that? How is that possible, right? And so, and he was absolutely feeling it there in overtime. And I think that was the heat check. That was the unfortunate, it was just the heat check where he had Manungai there. That wasn't the throw to make, and then he tried to make it, and Cam Curl made him pay for it. But before that, and even when he let the ball go, you still believe, oh, man, that's going to wind up in doing a good thing because of how things had gone. And surely he felt that within him. It was a mistake of a throw, unfortunately. Not one, though, ultimately, that cost his team the game. Let's be clear about that. But it was a big mistake.
Just to offer clarity as someone who has watched this franchise with a loving heart for the entirety of my life, never felt this way about a team, never felt this way about a quarterback. It's been a heck of a ride of a season, but this moment does belong to the Los Angeles Rams, who were heavy pass to run early in this game, maybe got back to the run down the stretch a little bit more. What did you make of the game plan and subsequently the way that this Chicago defense was also able to limit them throughout the 60 minutes plus?
So what I saw from the LA Rams and from Sean McVay was a game plan where they were going to put the football in the MVP's hands and say, we're not going to lose because we didn't have Matthew Stafford throwing the football around the yard. And yeah, he was below 50% on the day. But the thing about the LA Rams is they played good, clean football. Okay? They went 5 of 16 on third down. They decided, B-Mac, that punts were okay. That punts were good plays. Okay? They go out there, they got outrushed, they got outpassed, they had 1 penalty for 5 yards. They had 0 turnovers. Okay, so they were solid exactly where they needed to be. And that was the difference, ultimately. You look at this, and the Chicago Bears had 3 turnovers. The Rams got 10 points off those turnovers.
Gotta believe it.
The Chicago Bears were really, really good on third down, but when it came down to fourth down, The Rams got the stops that they needed outside of one.
Yep.
And so on the big plays that matter, and B-Mac, you know this, in games like this where it is great on great, not just good on good, but great on great, it's coming down to 3 to 5 plays. That is all that it's coming down to. And so there wasn't that. We're not going to sit here and give you some analysis about how, oh, here's how the Rams ultimately won this game. In those 3 to 5 plays, they were the better team, and that's how they won.
And I have some data to back JJ's outstanding point with them starting the game with the football in Matthew Stafford's hands. Look at the first quarter, the first half. They only had 7 rushing attempts in the first half, right? Kyrie Williams, in the first 3 quarters, he had 7 attempts for 34 yards. But guess what he finished with? 21 attempts for 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. They got Kyrie going. And I understand you wanted to showcase, and the game plan might have been a telling sign that we can exploit some matchups in our favor in the passing game, but it's okay to make adjustments. And that's what Sean McVay did. Because it's unexplainable to have your star running back, who I believe is a every down back in Kyrie Williams, with only 7 rushing attempts for 34 yards in the first half. He averaged 4.9 yards a carry, so when he was touching the football, he was generating production. But you just took the football away from him, but then something clicked for Sean McVay and say, you know what? I'm being too cute. Because when he is running, guess what opens for their offense? The play action, the zone play action, everything that they do within the eye candy section of their playbook is now available. And then you got Matthew Stafford going. Guess Matthew Stafford had 155 yards in 3 quarters of play, averaged 5.2 yards per throw. He finished with 258. 6.1 yards per throw. So clearly the running game led by Kyron not only opened up the entire offense, but it made your quarterback perform better to the level that they were able to be victorious.
Step 14 play 91-yard drive that gives the Los Angeles Rams the 17-10 lead, spanned the beginning of the fourth quarter to the 8-minute and 50-second mark. Chicago responds with their own drive in which they get stopped. This has been the story of Chicago's season, is in the biggest moments, they just find a way, and they come up a play or two short in this one, Mac. But I want to take you specifically to the defensive performances on both sides. We came into this one saying we're worried about both secondaries, ability to cover these receiving groups, and both stepped up to the task. Both of these quarterbacks had to sort out some muddy looks. What did you see from the defensive effort from both L.A. and Chicago that made this game as close and as low scoring as it was?
Both defenses were flying around. I look at Chicago defensively. Dennis Allen had a really, really good game plan in how to attack Matthew Stafford. And knowing that Matthew Stafford is a true pocket quarterback, and if we can generate perimeter pressure, we have an opportunity to rattle Matthew Stafford. And they did. I never seen this season so much defensive back pressure coming from Dennis Allen. When you look at Gordon, when you look at Brisker, these guys were coming from the perimeters, and clearly it surprised Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay because they had no answer for it in 3 quarters of play. So that was a great game plan. Then when you look at the Rams guys, they just did a great job in tackling and swarming the football. I mean, because I felt like DeAndre Swift, it seemed like he had moments to really get things going, and then instantly you saw Rams helmets swarming the football, and they just were physical. This is why you enjoy NFL playoff football, because in some games where teams they have vulnerable moments, and then they make adjustments and they perform better than what they did. Because remember last week, Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers put up 30 points against the same defense. And we felt like, well, this could be an opportunity for the Iceman to exploit the same matchups that Bryce Young did. Well, the adjustments, because like you said, it's great on great in playoff football. So kudos to both defensive coaches, because they did a great job in improving in elements where we saw some potential mishaps.
Yeah, 2 things. I think to your point about the DBs for the Chicago Bears, Jaquan Brisker had a hell of a game.
Yes,
number
he did.
1. And then number 2, we've seen C.J. Gardner-Johnson get exposed a couple of times this season, and he made some plays on the football and did not wind up getting necessarily exposed tonight. So shout out to those guys for that. When you look at the Los Angeles Rams, what I saw was Caleb Williams not really wanting to run too much. And
I was calling for that.
Right? You were.
Yeah.
And he didn't, whether Ben Johnson wasn't calling for it, or whether Caleb Williams felt that it wasn't right for him to do, we didn't see him really get outside of the pocket and decide to turn up really until the fourth quarter of the game.
Yeah.
And that's when good things started happening.
I'm glad you bring up Ben Johnson because, B-Mac, I know you had some thoughts throughout this game, the 4th-and-1 philosophy. We had an interception, a touchdown, a turnover on downs, and a turnover on downs at the 2, and then a conversion in overtime. Not just the 4th-and-1,